QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. Hello and welcome to the 34th episode of QuaranJazz. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer, songwriter, and music researcher from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and your favorite podcast is starting now. And here we are again, dear listener, as we've been for the last 34 weeks. No interruptions since its start, bringing you fresh news from the independent jazz world, new releases, first-hand information, and a whole bunch of golden nuggets of wisdom on how to cope with extreme difficult situations, such as the ones we are experiencing during the year of 2020. If you would like to leave your comments, suggestions, and ideas for the show, drop me a line. You will find in the description of this episode a link to my webpage, geisafernandes.com, a directly link to my newsletter in case you would like to subscribe and get regular content from me, and also a link to the QuaranJazz playlist on Spotify. No talk, all jazz. The playlist includes all the songs featured during the episodes and lots of surprises from my guests. Let's check what's new on our QuaranJazz playlist. There we go! The incredible tune you just heard is called East in North from my guest this week, Norwegian trumpeter, composer, teacher, and psychologist to be, Thomas Husmo Litleskare. Thomas is no exception to the other trumpeters that has already been here as a guest on this show. He's also involved in lots of different very interesting projects. He's gonna tell us everything about it. So I hope. Hi Thomas. What a pleasure having you here on the show. I usually ask my guests to start by introducing themselves to our listeners and giving us some context on where you're coming from and the kind of music that you do.
Hello, Jeza, and thank you for having me on your podcast. It's a great pleasure. My name is Thomas Husmo Litleskare, and I'm a trumpet player and composer from Norway. I'm from Trondheim, and the last 10 or so years I've been living in Oslo. I moved here to study at the Norwegian Academy of Music, like so many other musicians end up doing, and I've stayed here ever since. In addition to being a musician, I'm also a music teacher, and I've taught for 10 plus years. And it's a joy really to help kids discover music, and it's a small wonder seeing them figure out the workings of the trumpet and how to operate it, how to breathe, how to blow, and how to express musical ideas. And to see them work together, all this information piece by piece, is very, very rewarding.
And what have you been doing lately, Thomas?
I'm actually doing a lot of different stuff these days because this January I enrolled again as a student and started studying to become a clinical psychologist.
Wow, that's so interesting. How come?
I think it's somehow very relevant to being a musician, and I think that getting all this insight into how we work as human beings and all the questions that psychology has been asking for years and try to figure out, I think it's more or less a lot of the same questions that musicians have asked for decades and hundreds of years and try to figure out. So it's very exciting.
This is a very nice approach to psychology. I'm sure you're going to be an excellent professional. And you've been taking part in different projects, right?
I've been involved in several different projects and bands over the years as a musician, but my main project these days is Husmo HAV, which is a band, and the band name Husmo HAV is consisting of Husmo, which is my middle name, and HAV, which means ocean in Norwegian. And I chose that name because it sounded good out loud. And it makes sense really in terms of the music. It's when you think of the ocean, it's this vast ecosystem. Much like the sound of this band, it holds room for a lot of things, and you can really dive down there and discover all sorts of details and mysterious entities. So I think it fits really well. We've described the band as science fiction jazz because it's a mix of both acoustic instruments like trumpets and drums and bass, but also with a lot of effects and a lot of synths, synthesizers. So it sounds a bit otherworldly, so to speak. And this has really been a journey of discovery, really, because I've only been involved in acoustic settings before, and when I was in other settings with electrical instruments, I found it a bit hard to find your place as a trumpet player because it often can sound a bit weird and not in line with the other instruments when you have this dry acoustic trumpet on top of electrical instruments. So this has been really a road to discovering how to work in an electric setting and how to get different sounds out of the trumpet by using reverb and using other types of effects to blend in and create this very different soundscape from what I've been working with in the past. And well, to be honest, I think this band really sounds like something else, and it's a really great blend of synths and atmospheric trumpet screams and these different layers weaving in and out of each other. And you also have these really clear and beautiful melodies and really catchy drum and bass grooves. So it's I really love this band. It also consists of some other very lovely musicians, and one of them is Marte Eberson. She's a synth wizard who's maybe most known for having been a part of High as a Kite, the Norwegian pop sensation. And she's now doing a lot of different things, but working a lot with a project called Løv, which is very cool. You should check it out. And Stian Andreas Andersen on bass and Tore Flatjord on drums. We've played together in so many different settings for 10 years and we feel like we really know each other inside out. And some people think that, if you know each other too well, then maybe there's not enough tension or excitement or not enough X factors, so to speak. But I just find that I really love playing with them because we really know each other so well, and we're able to fulfill and pursue each other's ideas in a way that I think it's really hard to just do with someone you just met and playing with for the first time, even though that can be very rewarding as well. I think our playing comes together really naturally and organically because we've just played so much together. We went to the Norwegian Academy of Music together, and that's where we first met and started just jamming and playing in different bands, and yeah, we've stuck together ever since. So last fall we released Husmo HAV's debut album Ripples, and it received really great reviews, and it was not shocking in a sense because I knew that the music was good, but it was such a pleasure when Bandcamp chose Ripples to be album of the day quite soon after release. And I checked my email soon after, and it turned out that as a result of discovering it through the editorial picks on Bandcamp, a lot of people had bought the album and ordered it from all over the world, and that was really, really fulfilling and rewarding because we put so much work into this music, and it was kind of fun because we really had just 2 studio sessions in different weeks, and we just got together. We rehearsed maybe one time before, and we just got in the studio and we just played around, and the music turned out wonderfully. And yeah, I just haven't experienced anything like it because it was so not effortless, but it was really like a creative flow when all musicians are just working together. And even though we haven't defined the goal, it just came together beautifully. So it was a great experience. And when you get good reviews and people discover your music and they can enjoy it, then it's really worth it because you make something that can make other people happy, and I guess that's what every musician really wants to do ultimately. Create something for yourself, yes, but also something that other people can enjoy, and that can, for a little while, they can just forget everything else in the world and listen to your music and enjoy it. So that's been a great pleasure with this band and this music.
And when the COVID crisis came to the game, so to speak, what were your plans?
So when COVID happened, we were scheduled to have a show in Oslo the following week. I think it was the 12th of March that the Norwegian government applied some very strict restrictions that really basically put the cultural life and many other aspects of society on hold for an indefinite period of time. And not only that one show was affected, but in effect our next album was a bit delayed because of it. I've been planning that for a while, and well, basically it should have been out by now, but this is a very special year in so many ways. So when something doesn't go exactly as planned, you just have to take a step back and see the whole picture and see that, okay, we're not really in control of this thing at all. So I haven't actually been stressed about it per se, but now the wheels are in motion, and it's in production, and I really can't wait to present the result. And it was also some issues when we ordered the physical copies of the album. I think it's because of the global situation now. A lot of musicians have more time to create and record music. So I think we were in a situation where a lot of musicians were ordering the manufacturer of their new albums at the same time. So it was a bit of a queue also there. But yeah, wheels are in motion, and our new album is called Waves. It's the first time and place I've ever announced this officially.
Really?
So a little treat for this podcast exclusively. That's nice.
Very nice indeed. Thank you.
And so Waves is a continuation of the work we've done on Ripples. So it's in a similar vein, but a bit more exploratory. It's a little brighter album with even more melodies and maybe a bit more upbeat character. And the cover design is also very, very aesthetically pleasing to me, at least. I have to give a shout out to our designer Susie Lima. You should check out her Instagram account. It's called Chasing Croissants, and it's a very, very nice sort of collage pop art aesthetic, and she's really done the finishing touch on the visual representation of our album, and I really can't wait to show it to the world. Another band I'd like to give a special mention to is Baker Hansen. It's a band I've played in since 2010, and it's a band that plays the repertoire of Chet Baker, the famous trumpet player and vocalist. But we don't just play the tunes as they were, like a traditional cover band. We play them with new lyrics in Norwegian, and this is made possible due to our vocalist Sigurd Tunestveit. He has made some magnificent rewritings of the lyrics from these standard tunes, and it's not just a translation of the lyrics into Norwegian. He really adapts each song so that in some cases you get almost a new story adapted to the Norwegian context, if you like. So he's done some really thorough work there, and we've released 3 albums since 2010, and the last album is called Live in Oslo, and it was a live recording, as you might have guessed. It was an intense experience, a bit nerve-wracking, of course. When you record live, you don't have all the opportunities of doing post-production stuff to correct mistakes and other things, so the pressure is on for sure. And we did this recording after a tour, or like at the end of a tour, so we had played a lot of concerts before this night of the recording. And we also had a guest who's kind of famous in Norway. His name is Jon Paul Inderberg. He's a legend. He's played with a lot of great musicians and founded the jazzlinja in Trondheim, the jazz department in Trondheim. And he's also played with Chet Baker and Lee Konitz and other cool jazz prominent characters. So he's really his appearance gives a sort of extra nerve and extra presence on this album for sure. So I really recommend to check it out. If it's on Spotify or whatever you like, just search for Baker Hansen and Live i Oslo.
Okay, write down these recommendations, folks. And what is the current situation in Norway? What are the restrictions and rules concerning social distancing? Do you think that Oslo may have to experience a second lockdown?
the way things are now, Oslo is not in lockdown, and I don't think we will see a full-scale lockdown the way we had in March either. And we've been really fortunate here in Norway with the government taking really active measures and acting quickly, so that we've managed to contain or at least restrict the spread of the virus. So that being said, there are measures in place. I mean, there are very strict limitations on how many people can gather in one place, and the sort of things that you have in other countries as well. But the music industry and the cultural business as such is not in the place it was before the coronavirus hit. It's still a bit hard to get concerts. I mean, it's possible for sure, but we have a situation where a lot of musicians have been out of work several months, and now we have some opportunities to play, but there are not as many concert opportunities as there are eager musicians that want to get out and perform. So that gives you a situation where you have a lot of supply into a market with limited outlets, so to speak. Personally, I haven't played that much since the reopening of society. There have been a lot of people wanting to play and a limited number of opportunities, but I remember when I played the first concert after a while, it was a church concert actually. Felt a bit weird. It was it was like, oh, I remember this, and it was like rediscovering what it was like to play a concert, because I was really eager and a bit nervous maybe, because it was such a long time ago that you don't doubt yourself necessarily, but like, oh, will this be how will this be? And a lot of thoughts go through your head, but it was like a pure joy of getting to play when you got the opportunity. So very thankful for that. I've also been quite busy behind the scenes working with a single release on Husmo HAV this fall, and also preparing for the album release. So paying attention to every detail that needs to be taken care of when releasing music, and can be a lot, but we'll see. It'll be time well spent for sure.
And Thomas, we had the opportunity of getting a teaser from Easting North, the beautiful track, and I would like you to tell us a few words about the track you've selected for us to listen in full at the end of this episode.
Yeah, the song we're going to hear is, this is a bit exciting actually, because this is a premiere.
All right. QuaranJazz is always 2 steps ahead.
So this is a song that hasn't been released yet. It's from our upcoming album, and the tune is called Mining for Gold, and it's my composition. It's I wrote this tune about the process of composing music, and this is because you go in, you have nothing when you start writing, and you wrestle with the fact that you have no ideas and you have to make something out of nothing. And this process, I've likened it to mining for gold. You really have to get in there and dig after something, and be open to both success and to failure, and hopefully you end up with a pile of gold in your hands. But it's hard work, and it doesn't come easy and doesn't come for free. Something I've liked to do is setting a goal of having to write a song before a gig, and that way I have to do it. And it's, for me at least, it's very easy to procrastinate if you have no deadline, and you can think you can do it tomorrow or some other time. But I find if I set this deadline for this gig, then I know it will get done, because I have to. And I just wanted to say a couple of things about my composition process, because I prefer to work over several small sessions. So I write a song in increments, you can say, because I work on an idea, I get an idea, I sit on the piano, I play it, I record it on my phone, and maybe play around with it for like 15-20 minutes, and then I let it go. I check in on it later that day or the next to see if I can come up with a new part or expand the idea I have, and then I sleep on it, because there's a lot of research showing that you work on problems also when you're not actively, consciously working on them. So it works on the subconscious level of your mind, and then and also when you're sleeping. So when I work too much on something, it results in what's called a set effect where you cannot really see a different way forward because you've established the idea or the path that you've created so firmly for yourself that you can't see a different way around it. So what ends up happening is you get stuck. You've established an idea so clearly that you can't really work around it or create something new, or at least it gets harder because you've established the thing you've made so firmly in your mind that it gets hard to break out from it, so to speak. And maybe this is just my justification for being lazy or working in in small sessions, but I find it to be true, and it's exciting that a lot of research support this as well. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling around. Let's listen to this tune. It's called Mining for Gold. We are Husmo HAV, and I'm really looking forward to showing this to you guys. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the treats. Thank you very much for your participation in QuaranJazz. And this was the 34th episode of QuaranJazz. I'm Geisa Fernandes, singer, songwriter, and music researcher from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And remember, your opinion is very important to us. You can contact me by choosing one of the links listed in the description of this episode. You will find a link to my mailing list in case you want to subscribe and get regular content. You can also try the contact form on my website, geisafernandes.com. And if you're here for the music, you will also find there a link to our Spotify playlist. No talk, all jazz. With all the songs featured during the episodes. You may also consider joining the Facebook group The Touring Jazz Musician, where I share information concerning jazz festivals that accept submissions directly from artists, the so-called open submission processes. And last but not least, I would like to remind you that QuaranJazz is a proud participant of the Social Distancing Festival. Check out in the description of this episode the link to this amazing action. Well, dear listener, it is time to bid you farewell. Thank you for staying with us. Till next week. And now, ladies and gents, mining for gold. QuaranJazz. Listen while you're home. QuaranJazz, a podcast by Geisa Fernandes.